Given the fact that Inspire is now in the implementation phase, what are we needing changes in governance for that, maybe? Because we realize that also through this presentation very much so, that while we are an Inspire community, which is growing as these conferences show, there are many other communities out there, and there are many other topics out there which we have to address properly. So that may be something you keep in mind. We heard about citizens. I mean, do we need to do more against citizens to bring them in? Community building is here a main thing. But I give now the floor briefly to the three new colleagues on the stage. Marc Léaubé, Michele and Luca. And if you could please introduce yourself very briefly and make a statement against what you have heard so far. The three of you. Let's start with Luca.
Thank you. Thank you, Stefan. Good morning. For those who do not know me yet, I'm Luca Di Micheli, Secretary General of the Geological Service of Europe, Eurogeosurveys. A quick statement that I can make immediately is that I was immediately impressed when Stefan started sending emails to organize this plenary, and the first thing he wrote that Inspire was conceived as an horizontal environmental policy instrument in support of the knowledge-based policy making and implementation, and then asking us to deal with the networking issue. And it's surprising how much this goes in parallel with the Geological Surveys actions. That is right in this moment. I can develop it a bit more further. We are actually developing the European geological knowledge base based on Inspire, making it available to all the users for free completely through the build-up of European geological data infrastructure. And this is based on networking and allows us actually to network interoperably with all the other organizations.
Okay, Marc?
So, thank you for inviting me. My name is Marc Léaubé. I'm French, as you hear it. And I'm working for the National Contact Point in France in the Regulation Committee. And I spend all my time, or quite of my time, to create or to maintain networks with European Commission, with state members, with producers, with developers, with experts. And the most important thing for me this week is we end the negotiation of the regulations, and we begin to have experience of implementation in all countries. And as Stefano showed, we have some results, some questions, and Martin shows that too. And I think we need to have strong networks to solve things we have to solve. It's quite good, and we have just a bit of work to do to be completely okay.
And Michele?
Good morning, everybody. I'm Michele Fasciano. I'm the Chief of Cabinet here in Florence of the Geographical Military Institute. It's a pleasure for me, above all, to host you. Yeah, and another pleasure is that we represent, as the other fourth mapping agency and other institution, the real institution in Italy able, as you say, Peter, before, to give you authoritative, trusted, maintained, and definitive mapping data, I mean certified data. This is one of the topics that we are coping with other institutions in Italy, and we set up really a networking mechanism composed by Italian mapping agency as the Institute are, the National Institute for Environmental Protection, and with the participation, as you know, of the Italian Environment Ministry, that is a contact point for Italy, in Italy for Inspire, and the Digital Agency. And it's a pleasure of me to understand that maybe we start a little bit late, but we are also in time to perform all matters concerning implementation of Inspire and to create a real networking. I'm at the same time co-creator, producer, user, so this is a good opportunity, and the good opportunity is also that I am a part of this scenario in Italy that is led by the Minister of Environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these statements. So I think on the plenary we see representatives from quite strong networks. I mean, those networks are quite strong in themselves. The Mapping and Cadastral Agency network, the Geology network, the Environmental network, networks in countries which bring together the parts of the countries. But, and we have heard about solutions which are there for the networking. But we are asking us, also in the light of the Inspire evaluation, have we got everything? We're hearing a lot about issues. There are a lot of standards out there. Some of them are not so mature so this gives us some trouble. We do brokers, yes, but there is a lot to brokers, so that is probably also not so smooth. And we get new topics, new challenges. Are we in the position to manage that? We keep discussing with the networks which are here around the table about our common use cases, for example. That is not an easy discussion. We are not fully through with that as well. Other reflections on this from the audience, from the podium initially? Ingrid.
Yes, I think we have to be aware that there are things which we cannot manage, things which will always escape of policy and so on. So I think one thing which you cannot manage is the willingness of people to do what you have decreed in your legislation, so there's quite a lot of things which you cannot manage. But as we have seen I was in a breakout session this morning where an example from Norway was shown about a disaster, and one of the elements you can manage is how prepared are you for the things that happen when unmanaged things go along. And I think there we have, with Inspire, we have a lot of building blocks that can help us to be prepared. And if there's one building block which I think is not present in Inspire, is the obligation to provide certain data. You only have to provide what you have, and there's no obligation to collect new data. And I think there is a need to make sure that sufficient data is available, and that's something which I miss in the spectrum of Inspire. But I must at the same time say that I understand why it's not in there.
Other views? Luca?
I would like to add to that, because it is actually I share the view of Eurogeographics. On the other hand, from our point of view, from our community point of view, and I'm sure I know because we work continuously with Eurogeographics, just to make it clear, Inspire is not at all an obligation, it's an opportunity. We use it, and the networking that Inspire enables, in fact, is a huge advantage. We are ambitious, we want to grow, we want to bring Europe at the forefront of research in the field of geology. We do that tonight. For instance, I want to go back to Brussels. I will be in Rome because tomorrow there will be the signature of an agreement between the Geological Survey of Italy and the Geological Survey of China. And if we can do something like that, it's because Inspire has allowed us to grow as a community internally, so to making all our data sets interoperable, and to make all this data also available. This is what we are trying to do to everyone. And with Eurogeographic, we will share, they will be with us, together with several other stakeholders, including the Commission, the Environment Agency, etc., in next September, to actually discuss these things. So it's definitely true that some things are not yet there, but the networking will actually enable us to develop all of this.
Who was next? Mark, maybe, and then Chris.
Thank you. So, networking users. The fact is, we have two major... Oh, sorry. And so we have two sorts of users. We have the NMCA, of course, and we have public authorities, naturalists. Each sort of users you can imagine. So today, I think we are talking about network services, and I support the idea to have one technical guideline, very accurate to solve some issues. That Inspire is not IT directive. It's a directive about data sharing, and to share data, we have to solve some problem of governance. And from a point of view, the keyword was, thank you, Martin, change management. Because to change cultural uses, to change the way we are working in semantic interoperability and so on, to build real ontology between users, we need a very strong time of coordination, and so we need a very strong governance, and it will take time. And Inspire is, the delay of Inspire is short, and so we have a sort of thing to do with the time of Inspire and the time of governance and cooperation between the very different sort of users.
Chris?
The question whether Inspire is providing everything we need. I would see one element which is currently missing and what might be needed to reflect upon to include in also as part of the regulation. It's the quality of the data. And that is an element that from the beginning was put aside, but I think now what we see when the user community is seeing what is coming available, I think this is a big issue where we seriously think about whether quality of the data should be part as well of the obligation.
Peter, yeah?
Sorry, very briefly. This is what, very briefly. So yes, also within UN, we recognize those same things. The quality of data, authoritative data, the availability of data in certain countries is simply not there. But if it is there, what is the quality? There's still many countries, not so much in Europe, but across the world, that simply do not have authoritative data available. Another thing that actually really helps in many cases that what we've seen is real-life use cases. It's not the use cases that add up. I said it in a previous conference as well, and I was slaughtered for it a little bit, but not the use cases that add up to billions, but the use cases that add up to hundreds of euros to millions of euros. The use case that in Rwanda, because there is now ownership information, people can get a micro loan so they can buy a fridge and then they can live longer. It's those kind of use cases that are absolutely crucial, also within the Inspire context.
Thanks for this pitch, Michele.
And just to underline this, Inspire is a real opportunity for us and to grow not only the community from international side, but also from the national side. Following Peter that say authoritative data, following the Italian experiences that say that only the mapping agency have this kind of possibility, we follow from the beginning the involvement at the local level at the first point, establishing a public system of connectivity with, for example, regions in Italy or other institutions that are in charge of producing map or database or metadata.
Grazie. Very short, Stefano, and then we give the word to the audience.
Yeah, a very quick comment is that I mean they have covered, my colleagues here have covered several very good points. So I will just focus on one more point. That as far as interoperability, what is lacking now is a clear plan of how to implement flexibility, because clearly if we want to run this cyber infrastructure for the next 5, 10, 15 years, you have to manage changes. So how those physiological changes will be managed. This is, I guess, again, a management issue. And I mean, I just mentioned, I mean, our way in order to be more flexible. I don't see many of these brokers around, but definitely could be more. But definitely, I mean, this is quite important point. How to how to address and manage changes, because there will be many changes in the next years.
Thanks a lot. I think that was something, the change management issue was something which came kind of new out of this plenary. We haven't heard it so much in the earlier presentations, at least not me. The audience should challenge what you are saying or add something. Who is the first? Who's the first? Oh, there. Giacomo.
We heard about today network of networks, system of systems, probably tomorrow system of networks and network of systems. How, please, you can find out a governance system to guarantee, to fulfill the user requirements, to have an harmonized set of requirements needed to make the final implementation and not wasting what amazingly Inspire did in providing 34 data teams and all the technical guidelines and all the implementation rules. Thank you.
Sharp question. Who's in for an answer?
I can try. I mean, I guess that, I mean, he actually mentioned several of my keywords. You left, one, community of communities, but it's okay. Yeah. Actually, I mean, I guess that, yes, it is, governance, challenge here, management, problem. But I guess that my point, is that you cannot govern this process in a very, let's say, in a very constrained way. You have to be flexible, once more. You can try to, steer the process, but you have to be ready to manage, any changes, any major change which is coming from IT, from, the different domains, community, from a different organization. That's the game. And you cannot, impose too stiff, too strict, rules.
Yeah. Another question? Yes, there in the middle with a light blue shirt, lila shirt, gentleman from Finland.
Yes, and I'm Antti Vertanen from Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry and from Finland. And I'd like to tease you a little bit by saying that political networking ended 2007 when we get the directive ready. So what we should do? Now it's technical networking, 6 years by now. So how we get our ministers interested or back to discussion?
Well, there I can throw in something because the Inspire evaluation is up. So there is a possibility to look at the legislation, at its success, and you will be asked as part of a stakeholder process to contribute to that. So you are all invited to ship in your comments and your suggestions, but maybe there are some concrete from the audience. Kees and then Peter.
I think that the Inspire user community really should make the next step and get the user involved. And I think that more or less answers your question. As I showed, my Secretary of State looked to these Inspire maps. And I think that's the way. She didn't know it was Inspire. Maybe I have to tell her. But our experts really don't care if it's Inspire or something else. But me, as an intermediate, I am the bridge between Inspire and our experts. And I think we need more use cases and also on subjects not related to environment, for instance, the police, safety, things like that. And I think that's the next step we have to make as an Inspire community.
Peter?
What we are trying to look at is knowledge sharing, and is sharing to sharing of knowledge between, for instance, Inspire and other what we call regional initiatives in the world. What we found is that politicians are very interested in that. Politicians are very interested in working in the UN at the UN level, And so that's also part of the reason why we're doing it, to really get people at that highest level involved, to really get involved at the highest. Among others, I mean, at the opening plenary of GGIM, there was a minister from Finland presenting, and we do get them now.
All right, I think we're actually running out of time, and I would like to be faithful. Mark, a short last remark?
Yes.
Good.
I'm sure that President Hollande in France knows nothing about Inspire, but in March he announced a geoportal for urban planning, and it's a superstructure built on euro infrastructure. And so that's, I completely agree with you. I don't care about Inspire, in fact. What is important for me is the capacity of public authorities of my government to build things for citizens upon Inspire.
Thanks a lot for these insights. Thanks a lot to all lady and gentlemen on the plenary. Thanks to the audience. One remark, very briefly, there was a question about the presentations. So next week the presentations will be up on the website of the conference, so you can pick all the presentations. And with that, and a hand to everybody, we let you go for lunch.